Hey, remember the IRS scandal? The one about the IRS targeting Tea Party and other conservative groups for extra scrutiny at the behest of the White House? Two developments. First, a bunch of liberal groups now saying their tax-exempt applications were also held up, and Congressional Democrats releasing the full transcripts of interviews done with a key witness in the case. This after only partial quotes had been made available. The upshoot, it appears to confirm that the initial targeting did originate with a low-level employee of the IRS's Cincinnati office, and, quote, a key witness and IRS screening manager, a self-described conservative Republican, denying any communication with the White House or senior IRS officials about the targeting. The release coming after committee chairman Darrell Issa refused to release more than partial transcripts, and Issa himself was saying the whole thing was coordinated in all likelihood from Washington. Now Issa is blasting the full release, saying it makes it too easy for future witnesses to massage their testimony. And today, the Tea Party Patriots, remember them? One of the groups that says the IRS targeted them? They held an Audit the IRS rally in D.C. Here's a clip from their headliner.
I actually like Vegas more than this city. I realized the only difference between Las Vegas and Washington, D.C. is at least Vegas has the decency to admit it's full of crooks and hookers.
Admit it. You missed Glenn Beck a little bit. We haven't heard any crazy.
What do you mean?
We haven't heard any crazy from him in a while because he's been off Fox News for a while.
Did you really miss him?
Not really.
Did you miss him?
Not really.
No.
Did you miss him?
Oh, so much.
And I damn sure didn't miss him.
I thought he'd been deported.
So here comes the most loaded question of the night for O'Brien.
Oh my gosh, shocking.
When is Darrell Issa's apology to President Obama coming?
To who?
To President Obama.
I heard.
You know how this all originated at the White House? This is all on him.
This has already come back to show that the Cincinnati employee of the IRS did take it to Washington. He did take it to an official in Washington, not someone from the White House necessarily, but also the approvals sat there for more than a year at this point. Lerner was involved, Susan Lerner. She was involved. She took a look at this. There is smoke there. Where it is, we don't know. And don't forget, Issa was fine with the whole transcripts being released at this point. Cummings was also releasing part of them. They both had this back and forth. Yeah, they each released sort of part of them, and they put it out there.
Cummings said, I'm giving you a week to release the whole thing, and Issa said, absolutely not.
It's all out.
Because it doesn't prove what I said it would prove.
It'll keep coming out. It'll still be there.
It's embarrassing for Issa. I mean, because it shows that he was trying to manipulate the media more than the White House was trying to manipulate the IRS. I mean, there's no conspiracy, and Issa saw that, and instead of just telling us the truth, he tried to play politics, and he got caught. It's very exciting that finally he got busted for something.
But the IRS now is also giving out about $70 million in bonuses coming up.
Contractually obligated.
Well, the question is how much are they've got to go to the union and figure out what is obligated versus what isn't. But this is all kind of, why are we still doing this right now?
That's sort of I mean, that's not really to do with anything because
it's part of the conversation
that was already slated in there. I used the phrase crisis fatigue a few months back when these were all breaking around. Is it that the Republicans have cried wolf on so many of these scandals with the worst president of all time, who's not really American and might actually be a Muslim?
The Democrats are the same thing to Bush. There's constantly every crisis is important.
Obama is liked by polling shows by the American people. Bush was not. So this president, I think I think the jury's still out on this IRS thing. Number one, I don't know if I side with the Democrats or the Republicans on this one. I think the jury is still out. But what's clear is that the public is willing to give this president a pass. Look at the recording scandal, with the, what do you call it?
NSA stuff?
Right, the NSA stuff. Look at that compared to, we all know, if this happened under Bush, there would be mass arrests in Washington and protests every day.
Yeah. And there seems to be disagreement within the Republican Party, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, whether or not they should be pushing a lot of these things or talking about getting immigration reform done.
I was at an event last week.
Positive
I was at an event last week with Boehner, and he said the same thing to the people in the room it was all the donors and so forth, and there's about a dozen members in there. And he said, I'm making it very clear. We've got to make sure we know the facts before we go out and promise too much. And I've told all my committee chairmen to do that.
But O'Brien, is this the speaker that can't drink water unless the Tea Party folks approve of it? Is this the same Boehner you're referring to?
You're talking about, Dominic. That must be the president of the Tea Party Patriots you're talking about.
You know what they need to do? More schmoozing.
March,
Oh, that-
now you
that's
go
a-
back.
that's a
that
callback
was you
from
didn't
last
see last night. You
That's a
gotta go
callback.
back to watch last night.
I'm sure you were watching. We're going to take a quick break here on RFL. Up next, do kids have too much homework? I'm sure your kids would say they do, and at least one school district thinks so as well. That and more next. Stay with us.